let's take a look at cross-cutting. Now to get into this, we're going to need a block of wood. You're going to want a pencil, square, a cross-cutting saw, and your safety goggles. This is a necessary prerequisite to all of the joint work that we're going to be doing. To review, cross-cutting. Cross-cutting is to cut across the grain. So if we take a look at this board of some dogwood that I have, the grains go left to right, and cross-cutting will be cutting across all of these lines, all of the grains, to shorten the board. And to do that, we're going to use a cross-cutting saw, and most of the cross-cutting saws that we have here have this spine that helps keep them nice and straight. It will still take some practice and getting used to, especially after doing the coping saw. When you pick up a cross-cutting saw, you need to hold it when you're going to be cutting, such that your index finger is out, and then all of your hands are in the hand grip. Having the index finger out will help keep the wrist stabilized so that you don't end up wobbling back and forth, and that will help your cut stay directly across the board. Another thing to remember is stance. So holding the saw such that your index finger is out and you stabilize your wrists. You also need to stand so that your foot of your dominant hand is back, because you want your arm to be swinging past your body and not into your body. If I stand with my dominant foot forward, my elbow is going to be bashing into my side. So you need to stand with your dominant foot back and your feet firmly planted so that you can push the saw into the wood, because the cross-cutting saws that we have, they cut primarily on the push stroke. When we get to making the joints, all of the cross-cuts are going to need to be directly across the board, so they're going to need to be perpendicular to the board. So let's practice doing that. And we're going to do that by marking a distance, let's say 1/2 inch in from the end, and then we will take the lip of our square and put it perpendicular to the board and slide it towards the mark that we just made so that we can draw directly across. Now, that's enough to get started with, but that doesn't guarantee that the saw will continue perpendicular to the board. So when I put the saw here and I start going down, there's no guarantee that it's not going to tilt one way or the other. I'm going to need guidelines as I cut down the board. So I want to wrap this line around onto the face on both sides so that I know that I am cutting straight down. So I'm going to take the square was like this, and I'm going to take the square and turn the lip so that the ruler part is traveling down the face of the board, and I need to align it with the line that I already have to draw the line straight down. And what I want is for this line to wrap around from the edge to both faces. So I'll put my pencil there and slide the ruler up against it, and then I can draw the line down. And we're going to do 2-inch cuts to practice. Let's take a close-up of this, and we can see that we have the line across here, and then when I turn the board, it just wraps onto the face. There's no shifting left or right. And we want to do that on the back side as well. We have our line on the top here, and I want to make sure that I transfer this line over to the face. So I have my pencil on the line, and I slide the ruler up to it. And we'll do a 2-inch test cut here. And we have one line that wraps around. So we've got one line that wraps around the board. Now we also need to keep in mind that this saw blade is thicker than the line, and we will not be able to cut directly on the line. We need to make sure that we are not cutting the part of the wood that we want to keep. So what we need to do is mark the waist side of the line. Now for this, since I chose a 1/2 inch here, I'm going to choose the waist side of the line to be on this side of the line. And what that means is I'm going to turn the board around so that I can get my thumb, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to get my thumb in the line. Now to do actual cutting, I want to make sure that I start making a kerf here so that I don't have my saw blade wandering back and forth like it's a chunk of bread and I've got a dull bread knife. So I'm going to put my thumb nail, because I don't want to cut my thumb nail right on the line, and then the blade right next to the line on the waist side of the line, and I'm going to draw back very lightly on the blade. Watching the line that I have on top so that I can make a small indentation there that will then carry over and guide my blade as I start sawing. Once I have it deep enough, I can start sawing back and forth, and I need to watch this back. Notice that I have it tilted towards the back. That will help the waist clear out as I'm going. And I need to watch this line as I go on my cut, and then eventually I will drop my hand down and go directly across and watch the line on the front. So I'm only cutting one of the face lines at a time at the beginning. And I'm paying attention to this line back here and not worrying too much about the line in the front. I can clean that up. But I want the line in the back because as soon as I put my heel down and I face the side of the board that's on my side, I'm not going to be able to see that back line. Once I've cut down a significant distance, you eyeball it and you get as far as you deem appropriate. You can drop your hand and cut straight across, watching this line on the front to follow it as closely as possible, and also the line on the top to keep the saw blade perpendicular to the edge as you're following the line down. Yes, this requires watching a couple of things at the same time. Now the goal with this is, and notice that on the waist side, oh, there we go. Notice that on the waist side I cut a little bit over on the side, and then I had to go back and correct it, but it doesn't matter because this is the waist side. I want the keeper side, so over on the left side would be my work piece that I want to hang on to, and everything on this side is waist. I don't care if this gets destroyed. What I want is a nice clean line on the left side up near the line on the front as well as on the back. Now if you notice on the back here where I've been pushing out, I've got all these fuzzies. That's because this is just a little bit of tear out, and you can clean that out once you're done. And what we're going to be doing is then we're going to be measuring over another ½ an inch, drawing the lines all the way around, cutting down 2 inches, and you're going to end up with a whole board filled with these cuts where on the keep side of the line we want that to be nice and straight, clean, and as parallel to the line as you can make it, both on the front and on the back. And on the back there we go, let's see if I can clean that up so you can see the line. Alright, so we've got the line here and parallel to the line all the way around, and on the waist side, if it's a little jagged, that's okay. Smell that vaporized wood, and now we've done enough that maybe we're ready to start doing some joint work.